Hey guys, today I want to show you how to take your vocals from this
You drag me down so low.
to this.
You drag me down so low.
Alright, let's jump in. So I'm going to just jump back into that track and play it without any effects on. This is what we've got.
You drag me down so low.
Alright, so it's been touched up, it's been melodized, so everything's like in tune. Firstly, on my chain, what I'm going to do is basically cut out anything that I don't like. So a lot of the bottom end and then a few like frequencies that were kind of not quite pleasant to listen to. I'm trying to cut out before it hits a compressor because the compressor is just going to amplify that even more. I've boosted a little top end here, which is a bit unusual, but let's just have a listen.
You drag me down so low.
Already it's a lot smoother and nicer to listen to. The top end actually sounds quite nice in that scenario. For compression, I'm using gain reduction. It's a JST plugin. This thing absolutely slaps, especially with like anything in the heavier scene, metalcore vocals, something with a bit more aggression and grit on it. This thing really like pulls it into place and makes it sit quite comfortably in the mix.
You drag me down so low.
So that's with it. Without it,
You drag me down so low.
absolute massive difference. That's doing majority of the heavy lifting. That's pretty much getting it to where I want it to be. I can hear with that though, there's quite a lot of sibilance, so a lot of S's, which probably comes back to me bumping that up in the start of the EQ. But as we go further down, another EQ, sorry, it's kind of just ducking out little frequencies here and there, not a whole lot. There's a bit of dynamic EQ going on as well, at around 10K and around 200 Hertz.
You drag me down so low.
And then without that,
You drag me down so low.
so it's just tightening it, making it a bit more crispy. That sort of helps cutting through the mix at that point. After that, we're jumping into a Dser. This is just stock standard Pro Tools Dser. I just found 11.1K seemed to be the spot. It's only ducking not even 2 dB out. So
You drag me down so low.
it's really just for those real heavy S moments. After that, we're jumping into a Microshift. So this is sort of like a chorus or like doubling effect. The mix is quite low on this, but it makes the main vocal just sort of fit into the mix a little bit better. So without it,
You drag me down so low.
and then with it,
You drag me down so low.
it's doing like just a subtle little thickness. It's adding slight bit of thickness. After that, I've just got a gate here, which is basically just cutting out any spots. If I was slack with not like cutting out any gaps or anything, this is sort of covering me doing that. And then after that, we've got the Decapitator. So this is sort of bringing back in a bit of thickness and a bit of grit. It's sort of giving a bit of warmth and a slight bit of distortion because the vocals are sort of heavier and want that distorted vibe. So without that,
You drag me down so low.
and then with it,
You drag me down so low.
once again, very subtle. The mix is quite low on this, but there is parts throughout the song where I want to crank that up. And so then I'll jump and boost the mix up. So I'll just do that while I play the track through.
You drag me down so low. I pray you let me go.
So it gives quite a cool effect there when it's getting really overdrived. It's really good for screams as well. There is a section in this song with screams that I use it for. But yeah, that's pretty much all of the processing I'm doing on the vocals, and that's the main track. Everything else that's stacked with it and layered with it is doing predominantly the same thing. But if I play everything together,
You drag me down so low. I pray you let me go.
so there's quite a lot of vocals going on here, and this is the main reason that I can get my vocals to where I want them, because I'm stacking vocals, and this is something you have to do, especially if you're in this sort of genre and in this scene. You're choruses need to like explode and punch. So you need to be adding layers in to do that, because when it gets to that point, you want it to be just absolutely punching through. So with the layers, the main vocal is the only thing that I'll have like directly in the center. Besides those effects like Microshift that's sort of like spreading it slightly, I want that to be like in the center, and that's the main focal point. So I'll play all the vocals together with everything stacked in.
You drag me down so low, I pray you let me go.
So there's quite a lot of vocals going on there. I'm stacking a lot when it gets to the chorus because I want that to be the biggest, punchiest part of the song. I want it to be thick. I want it to absolutely slap. There's also a lot of instruments going on in this part as well. The drums and guitars are quite big, so the vocals really need to cut through. And I do that, and I get the vocal sound by stacking vocals. If I was just to have one main vocal, and I'll just turn on the effects, the reverb and delays, but if I was just to have that one vocal with all the instruments, this is kind of what we're working with.
You drag me down so low, I pray you let me go.
So it's okay, but then once we start adding layers, so I've got the same vocal take that I've just played there, which is the main track. I've done that 3 times. So one's the main track, sits right in the middle, and then I've got 2 that are going left and right. They're panned 100% left and right. And that's just building like basically a wall of that main vocal line.
Drag me down so low.
So they're the doubles, they're panned left and right. They're doused with a bit more reverb, a bit more delay. When I add them in with the main though.
You drag me down so low, I pray you let me go.
So it's really just thickening it up, making it absolutely punch through. Once we've got those in, I like to add, if it's quite a high part, so if your chorus is you know, in a higher range, or you've jumped up an octave, I like to put the octave lower in as well. That just sort of fattens it up even more. So you can get quite, it depends on the vocalist, but for me, I get quite thin once I start going up quite high. So I put in the low octave, and that basically just fills it back out. So I'll play the vocals in with that low octave in there now.
You drag me down so low, I pray you let me go.
That low track by itself, it's the most boring thing.
Drag me down so low.
It's very monotone. I'm not trying to add any vibrato on there. It's very straight. That's literally just to sit under and be subtle, but you know that something's there thickening it up, but you can't quite like hear what it is. So within the mix, I'll take out the last thing I'd add in is a harmony. I'll show that in a sec, but this is basically with everything, it's exactly the same as the melody. You've got main melody in the middle, exactly the same left and right, 100%, 3 of the same tracks, that's building your wall. And then you've got your low octave, it's the exactly same melody, it's just an octave down, and then that's panned left and that's panned 100% right as well. So I take out everything and go back to the original, and then I'll play it with and without. You're gonna hear a massive difference already.
You drag me down so low, I pray you let me go.
And then with everything in now.
You drag me down so low, I pray you let me go.
So we've made that part fat, and then the last thing I'll do is add a harmony line. For this chorus, I've got harmonies running the whole way through. I'll play that section through.
Drag me down so low, I pray you let me go.
So I've got the Decapitator running pretty hard on that. I would say the mix is up a bit more, but that's just adding that pretty little finish on top.
I pray you let me go. I'm terrified to stay alive.
And that's pretty much how I'll get the chorus and the vocals sounding the way I want them to. The only thing I didn't touch on is the effects. Pretty stock standard reverb and delay going on. So I've got the Valhalla vintage verb. I've got everything to sends, so I'll create, that's what's happening here on these send tracks. I'll create a send and then send it out to the reverb and then send it back in. and then I'm just pushing it with the fader how much reverb I want on the track. So with the main track, if I
let me go, I'm terrified of staying alive.
So I'm just figuring out how much reverb I want to make it sit in the mix. Usually I'll add these bits in once all the instruments are in, because I like to start with a dry vocal, I'll play through the section, and then I'll start to build in the reverb and delay. All these extras, I don't think half of them are on, but they're just doing some parts throughout the song. There'll be kickback delays going through, so that's just automation that I'm doing with those extra tracks there. But yeah, that's pretty much how I'll get the chorus to where I want it. And then the last thing, all of these tracks are being sent back into a group, and that's just hitting this oxide tape machine here, which is just giving it a bit more fatness. So I'll disable and then enable the track. So without it,
you drag me down so low,
and then with it,
you drag me down so low.
to hear the difference, what's happening there, you probably need to be on some headphones or some studio monitors, but it's just, once again, a little bit of thickness that's coming back into the mix, because like I said, with my vocals, as they get higher, they start to get a lot thinner, and then a lot of the frequencies I'm cutting out make it even more thinner. So I want to sort of add that thickness back in with tape saturation or a bit of warmth, and that's sort of how I'm getting it. So that's how I get my vocals from A to B. I could sit on this topic all day and go through every single section, but I'll cut it there for now, and let me know in the comments if this was helpful at all and what you'd like to see next.